Welcome back. I'm your host at Navy Legends, and I want to begin this one with a concept the People's Liberation Army Navy has been developing under their System of Systems confrontation doctrine since at least 2016. The idea that a well-defended U.S. warship is not overcome by a single well-designed weapon, but by the simultaneous compression of multiple independent threat axes across different physical domains. You have heard that logic applied in surface and ballistic missile combinations on this channel. The YJ-21 paired with a CHFS swarm. The Fateh 313 paired with a Submarine. What you have not heard is its application across domains that are not just geometrically separated, but physically separated by the sea surface itself. Above the waterline, anti-ship cruise missiles tracking on radar emissions, engaging at Mach 3 in terminal sprint, managed by Aegis and ESSM and CIWS. Below the waterline, heavyweight torpedoes running at 50 knots under cavitation suppression, homing on propulsion signature, managed by AN/SQS-53 hull sonar and MK-54. Lightweight torpedoes from an airborne helicopter. On May 14, 2028, in the Philippine Sea east of the Second Island chain, the plan tested both simultaneously against one ship. The USS John Paul Jones had no warning the torpedo was coming until the cruise missiles were already in the air. The date is May 14, 2028. The time is 3:44 local. The Philippine Sea, approximately 340 nautical miles east of the Mariana Islands and 210 nautical miles northeast of Guam. The USS John Paul Jones, DDG-53, an Arleigh Burke-class Flight 1 guided missile destroyer, is conducting an independent patrol along the Second Island chain access corridor, monitoring planned surface and subsurface transit activity. She is making 18 knots on a course of 148 degrees. Her AN/SPY-1D-V radar is in full search configuration. Her AN/SQS-53C hull-mounted sonar is in active search mode, sweeping the water column ahead and to beam. Her MH-60B Seahawk, the Flight Eye's ASW optimized variant, is on deck at 30-minute alert. Her VLS carries SM-2, Block 3B, ESSM quad-packed rounds, and Tomahawk Block 5. She has no SM-6 in this patrol loadout. Her magazine had been configured for an ASW priority blue water mission. This is a distinction that will matter. The planned type 093B nuclear attack submarine Changzheng 22 had been trailing the USS John Paul Jones for 31 hours. Not following at close range, trailing, maintaining a position 18 to 24 nautical miles astern and to the north, using the Jones's own active sonar transmissions as acoustic masking. The AN/SQS-53C's active pulses in the 3 to 4 kHz range create a reverberation field that effectively masks a quiet nuclear submarine's cavitation signature at ranges beyond 14 to 16 nautical miles in the Philippine Sea's deep water environment. The Changzheng 22's commanding officer had positioned his boat inside that masking envelope for 31 hours, close enough to maintain a continuous passive track on the destroyer's propulsion signature, far enough to remain outside direct path sonar detection. He had a high-confidence firing solution. He was waiting for the signal. The signal came from the planned Type 055 cruiser Dalian, Hull 103, operating 158 nautical miles northwest of the Jones. At 3:44:09, the Dalian fired 10 YJ-18 anti-ship cruise missiles from her VLS in a staggered sequence across 16 seconds. 10 rounds, selected not to exhaust the Jones's interceptor inventory, but to fill it. To force the Jones's crew to commit fully to the missile engagement sequence, to build SM-2 fire control solutions, allocate ESSM, bring CIWS tracking online against multiple inbound contacts. And in doing so, to do what every ship's crew does when missile contacts appear on the tactical display. Focus upward, on the air threat, on the radar picture, on the engagement timeline counted in minutes and seconds. While the Changzheng 22 was preparing to present a threat counted in fractions of a knot below the surface, the coordinated firing signal reached the Changzheng 22 via the plan's ELF submarine communication network at 0344:11. The submarine fired 2 U-6 heavyweight torpedoes in a 9-second sequence, beginning at 0344:22, 13 seconds after the Dalian's first YJ-18 launch. Both threats now converging on the same ship before her crew had detected either of them. The U-6 is the plan's most capable heavyweight torpedo in operational inventory. 533 millimeters diameter, 6.1 meters length, 300 kilogram warhead, speeds between 40 and 65 knots, depending on engagement mode. The Changzheng 22 had fired both rounds in 40-knot low signature mode, accepting reduced speed for an acoustic profile that the Jones's AN/SQS-53C would find harder to classify in the noise environment that the ship's own high-speed missile defense maneuvering was about to generate. The Jones's SPY-1D-V detected the first YJ-18 contacts at 0345:02, 53 seconds after launch, as the missiles climbed to cruise altitude above the radar horizon at 58 nautical miles. 10 contacts, all bearing 316 degrees, all subsonic. The TAO classified them as anti-ship cruise missiles within 4 seconds. Weapons-free authorized at 3:45 and 11 seconds. 9 seconds later, at 3:45:20, the Jones's AN/SQS-53C sonar operator registered an anomalous acoustic contact on the 40 Hz narrow-band passive channel. A faint line, bearing 298 degrees, no range resolution, consistent with a high-speed underwater propulsion source at extended range. The sonar supervisor's assessment: possible torpedo. Possible. The acoustic line was at the lower boundary of confident classification. The Philippine Sea background noise combined with the Jones's own propulsion at 18 knots, placing the contact in the ambiguous zone. The supervisor reported it to the TAO at 0345:24 as a possible subsurface contact requiring prosecution. The TAO had 10 cruise missiles inbound at 58 nautical miles and a possible torpedo at unknown range bearing 298 degrees. He authorized an immediate scramble of the MH-60B at 0345:26 and returned his full attention to the missile threat. Because the cruise missiles were confirmed with a confirmed timeline, and the sonar contact was possible with no timeline at all. SM-2 Block 3B rounds began leaving the Jones's VLS at 0345:31. 20 rounds in a continuous sequence, 2 per track for the 10 contacts. In a ripple, the Aegis scheduler compressed into 41 seconds. No SM-6 in the loadout. SM-2 against a YJ-18 in subsonic cruise phase was well within doctrine. Against the supersonic sprint phase, it was less reliable. The engagement math required clean SM-2 intercepts in the subsonic window. The YJ-18 subsonic engagement produced 7 confirmed intercepts between 0347:14 and 0348:06. 3 contacts survived into the supersonic sprint phase at Mach 2.7 to 2.9, descending to sea-skimming altitude at 6 meters, at ranges between 19 and 23 nautical miles. 12 ESSM rounds launched against the 3 sprint phase contacts. 9 rounds in the engagement produced 2 clean intercepts at 11.4 and 8.7 nautical miles. The third contact survived 2 ESSM proximity detonations. The first at 6.1 nautical miles, damaging its right control fin and inducing a 1.8-degree roll oscillation. The second at 4.4 nautical miles, fragmenting the guidance antenna dome, but leaving the passive radar homing channel marginally functional. 1 YJ-18 remaining. Mach 2.6, roll oscillating, Passive homing degraded, but tracking the Jones's SPY-1DV emission at 4.4 nautical miles. The Jones was making 31 knots on a hard starboard turn, generating 113 decibels of propulsion noise across the 30 to 60 Hz band. 113 decibels from her two LM2500 gas turbines at full power. The AN/SQS-53C's ability to classify a 40-knot torpedo at extended range in that noise environment was significantly lower than it would have been at 18 knots in calm water. The forward phalanx, CIWS, acquired the surviving YJ-18 at 3,600 meters at 0348.44. The roll-oscillating missile's intermittent radar cross-section required 3 tracking algorithm updates before the CIWS achieved a stable fire control solution. Burst fired at 3,100 meters, 1.2 seconds, 88 rounds of 20 millimeters. 34 confirmed impacts on the YJ-18's forward fuselage and seeker section. The missile impacted the sea at 2,100 meters off the Jones's port bow. The 300-kilogram warhead detonated on water contact. At 2,100 meters, the blast reached the Jones as a 1.1 G shock impulse. The 1.1 G shock produced a specific casualty that the plan operational analysts would study closely afterward. The Jones's AN/SQS-53C sonar dome, the bulbous housing beneath the bow containing the transducer array, experienced the 1.1 G impulse at a resonant frequency matching the dome's mounting flange natural frequency. 2 of the 4 mounting flange studs sheared. The dome remained attached but shifted fractionally, less than 4 millimeters, enough to introduce a 2.3-degree bearing distortion across the sonar's azimuth coverage. The distortion was not immediately apparent to the sonar team, whose attention was now focused on the underwater contact that had developed into a clearer signal on the passive channel. At 3:48:51, 7 seconds after the YJ-18 detonation, the sonar supervisor upgraded the 40 Hz contact from possible to confirmed. 2 contacts, bearing 302 and 307 degrees, both showing Doppler shift consistent with 40-knot underwater propulsion, both at range approximately 8 to 11 nautical miles, closing. Time to hull contact at 40 knots, 11 to 14 minutes. The bearing distortion from the displaced dome meant the actual bearing of both contacts was 2.3 degrees different from the displayed bearing, a displacement that would affect the first Mark 54 torpedo's initial acquisition geometry. The MH-60B, call sign Dagger 41, had been airborne since 03:47:14, launched 48 seconds after the scramble order. It had held in an orbit during the cruise missile engagement. At 3:48:53, 2 seconds after the sonar upgrade, the pilot received the torpedo datum and turned immediately toward the bearing. 2 Mark 54 lightweight torpedoes, a dipping sonar, a crew that understood the geometry, 11 to 14 minutes to hull contact, 3 to 4 minutes transit to datum, 60 to 90 seconds for dip and classification, another 60 seconds for weapon employment. Achievable, barely. Dagger 41 reached the first contact datum at 3:51:08 and dipped. Active pulse at 3:51:19. Return acquired in 6 seconds. Clear, unambiguous torpedo return. Bearing confirmed at 303 degrees. Range 6.8 nautical miles from the Jones. Speed 41 knots. The 2.3-degree dome distortion had placed the hull sonar datum 1.4 nautical miles from the torpedo's actual position. Dagger 41's dipping sonar corrected it. First Mark 54 released at 3:51:44. The torpedo entered the water, acquired the U-6 contact in 9 seconds on active homing, and tracked to detonation at 03:52:18. First U-6 neutralized at 5.1 nautical miles from the Jones's hull. The second U-6 was the harder problem. Its corrected bearing placed it at 7.2 nautical miles from the Jones, slightly north of the first contact's track. At 40 knots, approximately 11 minutes to hull contact. Dagger 4-1 repositioned and dipped again at 3:52:44. Active pulse at 3:52:55. Return acquired in 8 seconds. Range 5.8 nautical miles. Speed now 44 knots. The U-6 had transitioned to higher speed mode, possibly after its acoustic seeker registered the first Mark 54 detonation as a warning indicator. Time to hull, approximately 8 minutes. The Jones's commanding officer activated the AN/SLQ-25A Nixie torpedo decoy at full power at 03:53:01. The Nixie generated an acoustic emission replicating the ship's propulsion signature at the frequencies the U-6's passive seeker was using. The U-6's seeker carried a Nixie rejection algorithm, but calibrated against the standard AN/SLQ-25A output profile. The Jones's system had been updated with the modified frequency output distributed after the Red Sea engagements, an 8% deviation from the standard profile that the U-6's rejection filter had not been trained against. The second Mark 54 released at 3:53:14. Active acquisition in 7 seconds. The U-6 executed a 3.1G evasion maneuver, a hard port turn that placed it temporarily outside the Mark 54's homing cone. The Mk-54's seeker swept and reacquired at 03:53:44 after the YU-6 completed its evasion and resumed approach bearing. Second engagement run. Closing. At 3:54:09, with the Mk-54 closing from astern and the YU-6 at 2.9 nautical miles from the Jones's bow. The YU-6's seeker processed 2 acoustic returns. The Jones's hull signature at 2.9 nautical miles, and the Nixie's modified output, 0.2 nautical miles behind the hull. The rejection algorithm evaluated both returns. The modified frequency output fell outside the algorithm's rejection band. The seeker selected the Nixie as the higher confidence target. The U-6 turned 14 degrees to port, tracking the Nixie rather than the Jones. The Mark 54 reacquired the turning U-6 at 03:54:16 and achieved proximity detonation at 03:54:22, 18 meters from the U-6's guidance section. The Mark 54's warhead drove fragmentation through the torpedo's propulsion and guidance systems. The U-6's motor was destroyed. The passive seeker was severed. The U-6, 300-kilogram warhead intact, propulsion gone, guidance gone, traveled on its last heading vector for 14 seconds before decelerating to a stop. Its final position, 48 meters from the Jones's port hull amidships. 48 meters. The contact fuse required a closing speed of at least 8 knots at the moment of hull impact. The torpedo had decelerated from 44 knots to approximately 3 knots in the 14 seconds after propulsion loss. At 3 knots, 48 meters from the hull, it stopped. The 300-kilogram warhead, armed, fuse live, 48 meters from the Jones's engine room, drifted in the Philippine Sea. The Jones's commanding officer received the sonar report of the stopped contact at 3:54:41. He ordered maximum speed away from the contact bearing immediately. An EOD team was designated for post-engagement prosecution of the drifting warhead. 11 sailors had been injured across the ship. 7 from the 1.1 GEYJ 18 shock event, 2 from equipment impacts during the high-speed evasive maneuver, 2 from falls in tight passageways during general quarters. No life-threatening injuries. No hull breach. No flooding. The Changjung 22's commanding officer, having assessed the torpedo engagement from passive sonar, ordered a deep dive and sprint withdrawal northwest at 3:55:02, 60 seconds after the second U-6 stopped. The P-8A Poseidon, already inbound from Andersen Air Force Base on Guam, having received the contact report and acoustic buoy data from Dagger 4-1 during the engagement, reached the submarine's estimated position at 4:17 and began systematic prosecution with sonobuoys. A probable contact was established at 4:34. USS Springfield, SSN 761, was vectored to the datum from 290 nautical miles west. The Springfield prosecuted the Changzheng 22 for 16 hours. The planned boat broke contact in the deep water east of the Philippine Trench at 1941. No weapons exchanged in that prosecution. The retaliatory strike authorization for the surface component came from 7th Fleet at 4:06, 22 minutes after first cruise missile detection. 2 NSM rounds from the Jones launched at 4:12:07. The Dalian detected inbound NSM contacts at 04:22:44 and engaged with her HHQ-9B layer. Both NSM rounds were neutralized at 31 and 28 kilometers respectively. No physical damage to the Dalian. The exchange concluded without surface vessel losses on either side. But that was never what May 14th was about. Here at Navy Legends, 48 meters is the figure that defines this engagement. Not the YJ-18 that detonated at 2,100 meters. Not the sheared sonar dome studs. The U-6 warhead that stopped 48 meters from the Jones's engine room after the Mark 54 destroyed its propulsion at 18-meter proximity range. That is the number the U.S. Navy's undersea warfare community will analyze in every ASW training evolution for the next decade. The engagement also validated the plan's system of systems doctrine in a domain combination never previously tested in combat. The YJ-18 salvo did not need to strike the Jones. It needed to force her to maximum speed, generate 113 decibels of propulsion noise that acoustically masked the torpedo approach, commit the crew's cognitive load to the missile engagement sequence, and shift the sonar dome 4 millimeters on its mounting flange from the 1.1 GE near-miss shock. All of those effects were achieved. The degraded dome displaced the initial torpedo datum, 1.4 nautical miles. The sonar team corrected with the dipping sonar, but that correction cost time, and time is what the U-6's 40-knot approach is consuming every second. The Nixie's modified output seduced the second U-6 at 2.9 nautical miles, deflecting it toward the decoy at 3 knots, decelerating to a stop 48 meters from the hull instead of impacting it. The Changzheng 22 is somewhere in the Philippine Sea. Her commanding officer knows how close the second U-6 came. He knows his boat ran undetected for 31 hours inside the Jones's own sonar masking envelope. He knows the combination: 10 YJ, 18 rounds saturating the air threat picture above, 2 U-6 rounds running silent below, the sonar dome shock damaged, the crew divided between 2 simultaneous terminal threats in different physical domains, came 48 meters and 1 Nixie seduction from a different outcome entirely. The next version of this operation will incorporate what May 14th taught about dipping sonar response time, Mark 54 reacquisition geometry after a 3.1 G evasion turn, and the modified Nixie output frequency band against the U-6's updated rejection algorithm. The Philippine Sea is 4 miles deep. In 4 miles of deep water, a Type 093B running silent is very difficult to find unless you know exactly where to look. The Jones knew where to look with 11 seconds to spare. Stay informed. Stay vigilant. I'll see you in the next one.